I'm John Batchelor, Hotel Mars, episode N. This time we're going to the surface of Mars. Happy birthday, Opportunity. Almost 10 years old. David Livingston, Dr. Space of The Space Show, joins me. David, when Opportunity and Spirit landed in January of 1994, the expectation was 90 days. This is magical to expect 10 years from Opportunity. You followed it very closely for 10 years, David. Have there been doubts at some point that it could make 10 years? Is this a surprise to people?
I think it's a surprise. I don't think there were doubts. I think nobody contemplated it. I don't think it was in our consciousness that it would go for 10 years.
We go to the surface of Mars, to what is called Endurance Crater, Solander Point, and Murray Ridge, I'm told, because we're welcoming Bill Farrand, who is at the Space Science Institute in Boulder, Colorado. He's a senior research scientist. Bill, a very good evening to you. Let's be very specific. Opportunity is a rover. It's a brave little rover. Its brother, sister, Spirit, clouded by dust, shut down some time ago. It's a museum piece awaiting our first explorers to discover it. Will always be part of our history of our solar system. Where exactly is Opportunity right now, and what is she doing? Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, John. Thanks for having me on. Yes, Opportunity is on the portion of the rim of Endeavour Crater that we've named Solander Point, and specifically Murray Ridge in honor of Bruce Murray, Caltech planetary scientist. And we're on our way to our winter haven location, a place we're tentatively calling Cook Haven in honor of the great explorer Captain Cook.
You're going to your winter location. Why, Bill? What is the advantage?
Well, the opportunities in the southern hemisphere, and so to increase the amount of solar power that we get, we want to achieve a north-facing slope, and so we will receive maximum solar energy and keep the rover nice and toasty during the winter months. And so up there in Solander Point, we have these north-facing slopes, and this Cook Haven location appears to be an interesting spot to spend the winter.
David?
How you doing, Bill? Why 10 years for Oppy, and why not Spirit? What was the big difference there?
Well, I think, good evening to you too, David. I think the main difference is that the fates, there's no telling what Mars is going to throw at you, and unfortunately what Mars threw at Spirit was a sand trap, and it got caught in the sand. And just as I was talking about Opportunity, trying to find a north-facing slope to get the best solar power input, Spirit, when it got caught in that sand trap, essentially couldn't get to a north-facing slope, so it could survive that Martian winter. And unfortunately, its systems failed during that Martian winter.
The answer might be because we could, but why did you drive to Endurance Crater? What is there for you, Bill?
Endurance was a 600-meter diameter crater. We're currently at Endeavour, but
that's right, Endeavour. I'm sorry.
Endeavour is much bigger. It's 22 kilometers in diameter, and by being such a big crater, it has penetrated further into the Martian crust and brought up material from earlier in Mars's history. So the rocks that we're currently exploring on the rim of Endeavour Crater are older than the rocks that we were driving over for most of Opportunity's mission.
This is the period called Noachian for Noah. This is early Mars, when you believe there was water there.
Yes.
And right now, does Oppy have the tools to do what, say, Curiosity can do at Gale Crater?
Well, I mean, obviously, Curiosity's got a much more extensive tool set, even than the Opportunity had at the beginning. And in fact, we have lost a couple of the instruments. We've had a thermal emission spectrometer and instrument for measuring iron mineralogy, which we've since lost. But we still have a multispectral camera and microscopic imager and a alpha particle X-ray spectrometer for measuring chemistry. So we're still able to get quite a lot of information from the rocks that we're examining. But we don't have quite as they say, the tool set that Curiosity does.
David?
Bill, do you guys have an office pool going on how long Oppy will last?
I don't think anybody's really brave enough to put their money into that pool. I mean, as we said at the outset here, nobody even contemplated that we'd still be here this far in.
Are you going into the crater, Bill?
That might be on the cards at some point, but there's so many interesting things on the rim currently that we're quite happy exploring the rim.
And the rim, you're taking photographs of this Noachian period, and you can confirm now we're seeing very early rock. What is that, 3 billion years ago?
Oh, over 3 billion years ago, yes.
Now, my memory, David, check me on this. The theory right now is that water flowed for about 200 or 300 million years. Are we in a water flow zone? Can we tell, Bill?
Well, we have seen the previous segment of the rim crest that we examined, Cape York. We found rocks that she named part of the what we call the Matiovic Formation, which were very fine-grained, and the orbital information seemed to indicate that it had clays in it. And we also found a number of veins, which indicated the flow of water. So there was definitely aqueous activity in the rocks that we were examining, and are on our way to examine on Solander Point.
Igneous activity, you said, not sedimentary.
Did I say igneous?
Yes.
I meant sedimentary.
All right, David, go ahead.
Will MAVEN and its analysis of water and atmospheric trends over eons of time, will it help clarify what Oppy is finding? Will they kind of work together and supplement each other?
Well, I think MAVEN will provide a lot of information on the history of the Martian atmosphere and how that atmosphere has evolved over time, which of course has implications for the Martian climate that we're studying in terms of its rock record. And I think we're also looking forward to MAVEN as being a potential data communication relay.
Right now, your understanding of what Oppy's provided us and what we've seen, surprises, or are you just layering the archives that you've assembled? Are you seeing, or is the other thing, are we still looking for the unexpected?
Oh, I mean, I think we keep on seeing things that we're not expecting. As I mentioned before, some of the veins that we found on the Cape York section, which were gypsum veins, a kind of a calcium sulfate mineral, or something we didn't really expect. And we also found other, as they say, potential clay minerals, which we were examining. Of course, we saw some of that from orbit, but we weren't sure at all what kind of state they were in. And when we first got to Solander Point, we also found a number, and this time I do mean to say igneous rocks, which we hadn't really expected. There were obviously some things that were dredged up either by the impact that formed Endeavour or from a more distant impact.
David?
I've always wondered, when you say sedimentary rocks and igneous rocks, are we talking and using the same definitions of those rocks here on Earth? Does that mean they were formed in the same way on Mars that they were formed here on Earth?
More or less, yeah. I mean, certainly the igneous rocks were, the kind of sedimentary processes that were active on early Mars are, I think, largely the same as on Earth, but perhaps with different chemical conditions. For instance, some of the rocks that we were examining, Opportunity was examining on its drive to Endeavour crater, or a part of a formation we called the Burns Formation, were these very rocks that were formed in a very highly acidic environment, which is something not very typical here on Earth. And so that was definitely a very on-Earth-like environment. But some of the things that we've been looking at more recently, these potential clay-bearing deposits, are things which very well could have formed in more neutral water conditions.
The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is keeping watch like a mother over Oppy, and watches for storms, sandstorms, what could shut down or limit the power, because Oppy draws all of its power from looking at the sun. That is a good thing. What else do we know, did we learn from Spirit to tell us to avoid the traps that Spirit got into? Did you learn from that, Bill?
Yeah, one of the things that happened with that sand trap with Spirit was it was, in fact, was very much of a trap in the sense that it had, we believe, a crust which Spirit broke through. So that's something that's really hard to detect, either from the type of navigation imagery we take with the rover, or from the imagery from the high spatial resolution camera on Mars reconnaissance.
So the MRO can't see a trap like that?
No.
So you're blind here. You could fall into a sand pit any time.
Unfortunately, that's why it's called exploration.
I got it. 10 years. David, 10 years for opportunity. You going to have a birthday party on your show?
Bill is coming on in January, and we're going to have a big celebration.
Bill Farrand is at the Space Science Institute in Boulder, Colorado. He's a senior research scientist. I understand it's a robot, but after 10 years, we've gotten real comfortable with opportunity, which is why we call it Oppy, of course. For those of you who were not following in January of 94, 90 days. That was the upper limit they believed they could get. 90 days, get everything you can, and then it'll shut down. Opportunity approaching 10 years. David Livingston, Dr. Space of The Space Show, he's going to have a birthday party for Oppy on his show. I'm John Batchelor.